Okay, so today we're focusing on May 4th, 1970. And if you have questions, unmute yourself or let me know, and you can ask. So this year, it's the 51st anniversary of the Kent State shooting or the Kent State massacre. They would have had a big commemoration last year, but we've been living through coronavirus. Okay, so what's going on in 1970? We learned a lot about the civil rights movements in the 60s. We also know the Vietnam War happened. So right away we think of historical era. This was a time of a lot of social attention brought to these issues, both of domestic issues at home and the war abroad. Unlike previous wars, that's not to say that no one protested previous wars, but Vietnam, there was a lot more public protests, a lot less public support. And one place you often saw this lack of support was on college campuses throughout the United States. And Kent State's in Ohio. And in the spring of 1970, President Nixon expanded the Vietnam War. We're now having troops in Cambodia, right? Another country in Southeast Asia. And this made a lot of people upset. And a lot of protests were happening, especially on college campuses. Okay, so this information on the right is just a little bit of information. It's straight from Wikipedia, right? I don't want to get kicked out of college for plagiarizing if you just heard, right? That's where this is from. So what I want to point out here is that what was the public opinion at the time? What was the public opinion of Vietnam? Okay, so in May, so when Kent State happened, 56% of Americans thought that sending troops to Vietnam was a mistake. That's not to say that there weren't people that supported the war. That's not to say that maybe some people thought it was a mistake, but not everyone would believe that it should be protested, if that makes sense. Okay. And then it breaks it down by age. Over 61% thought it was a mistake. And then people in their 20s, it was up almost half. Okay. So the public opinion as a whole was not very supportive of our troops being in Vietnam, and then obviously not in Cambodia. So there was a student protest in Kent State that actually took place over a matter of days. And the National Guard was sent in to this town in Ohio. Has anyone heard of this story before? Okay. From the beginning, it wasn't all this tension. Keep in mind, most of these National Guard soldiers are the same age of these college students, right? They're now all hanging out in this town together. There's pictures of them like hanging out on the streets, one in uniform and one's a college kid. There's also, if we were to spend more time on this, there was also demographic changes we can think of. Lots of people did join the Guard to avoid being drafted. Lots of people went to college to avoid being drafted. And there's also some resentment there. If you were drafted, you may have looked at resentment to a college kid who could afford college to not go to war, right? So there's all sorts of things to keep in mind. We're not going to get into all of that, but just keep in mind that there's a lot of different factors. So long story short, there's orders to fire and 4 students are killed on May 4th, 1970. They weren't even all protesting. Some were just walking to class. Not everyone on the college campus was part of these protests. Okay, so I'm sharing this to show you that this is an example of civil disobedience. Okay, and I put a little timeline there to show you this is 5 years prior, right? 1965, all the different types of marches, teach-ins, protests, right? Protesting the trains carrying Army recruits. In October, right, calling for massive civil disobedience. All right, so this is not something that just happened all of a sudden on May 4th, 1970. There was, for years, right, you see what we've been living through in the past year, right? The social protests didn't just happen once, right? They've been building over the past few years as different events unfold. All right, so that's another term, civil disobedience. All right. And what I'm trying to do with these as well is share you guys scholarly articles, because if you're going to receive college credit for this course, you might as well be exposed to some of that. So I shared a journal article here from Schreiber. This is actually from 1973. So this is just a few years after Kent State. And noting that when we expanded to Cambodia, the protests expanded as well. Right? By that time, opposition to the war had become such an in thing amongst both students and faculty members, as well as among leading politicians in the Democratic Party. Right? And I'm just showing you this for political attentiveness. This was something lots of people, it wasn't like a remote issue. This is something a lot of the public was aware of, if not all the public, and certain groups even focused on it even more. All right, attentive public. And this just shows that even amongst college students, that doesn't mean that everyone was a protester. Okay, but within years, how numbers have changed, right? This is a Gallup poll of student opinion, whether they identified as a hawk or a dove. More wanted peace, 69%, to pro-war per se, 20%. This is specific to college students though, right? I'm sure as you look at the public as a whole, that would have been different. Okay, and then political socialization, that was, what was that, unit 4? Unit 3. I don't know, but I know we've done it recently, right? Right? There you go. And this sort of dealt with historical eras, right? How you are politically socialized, how your family structure, your community structure impacts your politics. So this is how being a college student at the time often impacted their viewpoint. And this is actually from the University of Minnesota, and it relates specifically to Vietnam War, right? Protesters held views different from their peers. They were less trusting of government officials, but more effacious in that they believed they could change the political system. However, some of their views changed as they got older and they had jobs and families. All right, this all deals with political socialization. And I just wanted to end this with, don't forget that this relates to also First Amendment rights, was banning those protests violating the students' free speech, was trying to ban the protest violating the freedom to assemble. Do colleges, right, if they're a private university, can they say, no, you can't assemble? Right? Where do those end? So this is actually from Kent State's, there's an extra S there, it should be Kent State's May 4th Resource Center. So you can find a lot of information from Kent State today. Yeah.
In 1970, but didn't Tinker Des Moines happen in 1969?
Right. So it's a good question. So they were Tinker Des Moines, right? And that's another way you can actually connect this, guys. Tinker Des Moines said, yeah, they have free speech. You can't ban this, right? So they weren't shot per se because they were just having a protest because they disagreed with the war. They thought it was getting out of hand. The college president did not want these protests to continue, and eventually, like the governor and all was like, you need to calm this down. For the most part, there were examples of protesters being throwing things. I don't think anyone was killed, but there were examples of throwing rocks, bottles, things like that. So it wasn't all 100% peaceful, no. And that's a good thing to point out into question as well. I don't want to say the wrong things. I didn't read about that recently, but I know I've read about that before. You can definitely look that up if you wish. Okay, so take a few minutes. My daughter's been calling. I have to make sure she's not burning the house down. And just try to make a connection to at least one of those terms. If you want to add Tinker Des Moines, that's great. And then we'll move on to what we're going to do today. I will share these slideshows as well in the